What is going on, guys? It is Austin, and I wanted to come on and make this recap. You can see I'm up about $820 today, which, when you take a step back and think about it, that is a big chunk of change. $820. I'm only 23 years old, and to be able to make that kind of change in a single day is pretty thrilling, to be honest, and do it so quickly and just with two trades, right? It's two stocks here, but guys, it's two trades. And it really got me thinking today. It's like you just when you've been in the frickin' game as long as I have now, it's been like 5 years, and I'm only 23, and I've been trading stocks since I was 18, and just getting obsessed with the charts, watching them go up and down every single day, just straight obsession watching charts. You see the patterns again and again and again. It doesn't mean you don't lose money. Of course you lose money. Of course you have losing trades, not because everything doesn't work 100% of the time. But what I'm trying to say is that when you see it again and again and again, sometimes, a lot of the times, it is just so damn easy to come in, punch it, punch in, punch out, and then it's just a matter when you're feeling good and when the markets are trading how they're supposed to. And when I say trading how they're supposed to, I mean when the setups are playing out, then you can size up and you can, man, you can, hammer it, hammer it. That's what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to step up to the plate a little bit more because things are the setups are working out. I literally came into the day today because yesterday I didn't trade. I woke up yesterday feeling not 100%. I was literally like, it's always difficult to rip myself out of bed in the morning, and especially now that I'm on the West Coast, it's like, oh my God, I got to wake up at 6 to trade. And of course, that is always difficult for someone that's my age. I mean, I still feel like a teenager. Like, I just want to sleep in, man. I just want to sleep in. But, I rip myself out of bed. That's how it goes. But yesterday I was like feeling particularly bad, and I was like, no, it is not happening. And I don't even want to. The only thing that can make this worse right now, I'm just sitting in my bed trying to wake up. I'm like, the only thing that can make this worse is if I force myself up, lose money, and then go back to bed. That's just like, ugh, no, I'm not doing that. So I just was like, all right, I'm gonna sleep through this. Let me get over this. And so this morning I still didn't feel 100%, but I felt fine. So I got out of bed and then I still was sitting there and I actually opened up my TCP account. You guys that have been following for the last few months, you'll remember I was trading futures for a large kind of sabbatical in there, the middle of this year for several months. I was trading futures, not doing well, but part of that way through, I started trading the evaluation account, earn to trade, right? That funded trader kind of journey. So I was trying to go through that and I was kind of failing. But anyway, I got kind of one last stab in me now, and so I uh, I reopened that and started day one today, and so I was kind of trading that, and so I was doing a lot of kind of watching the futures today, which it ended up being a pretty choppy day. But anyway, I was looking at that, and I kind of on the equity side, which is the main side that I do, I was kind of thinking, you know what? I didn't trade yesterday. I'm kind of at a high in my equity curve for the last, few months, right? So I'm not in any drawdown as of, this year, obviously, the last few months. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to take a step back and just, I was like prepared to not even trade on the equity side, even though I was there. I was like, you know what? I don't know. I was watching stocks play out and like watching Tesla drop and Tesla, when it was up here off the open, I was like, man, I really want to short this thing. And then as it started to completely drop and I was like, dang it, I missed it and I saw it and I wanted to do it, but I didn't. And in those situations, I just let them go because it's like, yes, it's dropping, but I'm not going to chase it, I'm not going to chase it. So I just let it drop and so for, those kind of reasons, I was thinking, well, I may not, I may end up just not even trading or whatever. But let's see what time it was because this Amazon trade was ended up being my first trade. So my first trade, you can see I got in right here on this candle 709. So that was about 49 minutes, excuse me, or sorry, 39 minutes into the open there. And I hadn't taken a single trade yet, which is A little unusual. 39 minutes isn't too long, but about 40 minutes into the open, I hadn't taken a single trade. This was my first trade. And I literally just, this is how it happens, man. I have my watch list here. I'm flipping around on stocks, just watching stuff. Again, I was watching futures a lot. I was taking some trades in the TCP account, just flipping around, browsing, as I do. And I just saw this and was like, okay, this looks interesting, right? These are the types of setups where I get interested. Attempt one at $89, rejection, right? But not full rejection. VWAP bounce again, this little stair step here, popping up to 89 again, rejection, and now we're just in that plateau mode waiting to break it. And man, I got in, bam, and then the break, and then yeah. This is how it happens like 90% of the time for me. Well, not 90%, but a lot of the time I'm literally just like flipping around, flipping around, flipping around. It's like you don't know it until you see it. Is that when I flip over and then it's like bam, it's the perfect setup, and then bam, I'm in. You know what I mean? It's like it's not like I'm sitting here waiting, waiting, waiting. It's like more so that I'm just flipping around on my stocks, and when I see them in the perfect spot, I'm like I look at it for like maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and then bam, I pull the trigger because it's already in the right spot of where I want it, perfect entry, and then it's just like, yeah, dude, perfect entry. 500 shares, bam, 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 just taking profit all the way, and last 100 shares stopping out under this little low here, no big deal, but $310. And then when I made that and I got out of that trade, again, I took more trades in the TCP after that on the future side of things, right? No money involved, just paper trading, funded trader, evaluation. Um, so just kind of taking a step back, and that was going okay. And then again, guys, it's just one of those scenarios when you are here sitting at the desk every single morning for so damn long, you just know what the setups look like. I'm telling you. So this was my second trade. Again, I wasn't even going to take a second trade. It honestly felt like 4 hours had passed after that first trade. I was like, I was about to upload the trade. I was like, I was done. But I wasn't because I ended up jumping into BABA, and I want to scroll over this way so you can see what it looked like when I was taking the trade. But also I was looking at these other time frames here because I got these other charts here. I'm always looking at the other time frames. And again, it's just the context of the run that this stock has been on. Just really nice setup here and just breaking out on that daily chart, just floating up. I mean, it looks really terrific. Um, but, it's kind of hard. I'm trying to, get that so that you can't see what happens next. But anyway, clearly some level here at 113, right? And yesterday I saw the action on it yesterday, even though I didn't trade, but it had this huge drawdown to 108 and then picking back up to 111. The market was kind of weak in this whole area, but BABA was kind of holding its levels here. And then bam, testing 113, 113.50 in here, pre-market, 113 again, and then just kind of this consolidation. But I just really like this structure and how it looks and how you've got this level at 112. I mean, look at this level at 112 at that blue line there. That's really crystal clear. So holding that here, false breakout, picking back up, testing 113 here, and then back testing 112, just this kind of ping-ponging action. But this really, to me, looks like a nice little bull flag in here, in my opinion, right? Like that. If you see in this little quadrant, or even here on the 1 minute, you can see it. So again, just looking for that breakout, and man, I got in way ahead of this thing. I got to scroll back so these candles get so big that they distort the view here of what it really looked like, because this is what it looked like bouncing off 112. And that's why it's important to look at the higher time frames, because we actually dip below here, but on the higher time frames you can see the 5 minute holds that level. So really important to look at all time frames, but picking back up, and then you can see the volume is really dead here. I mean, the ordinary person might look at this and just go, yeah, it's just chopping sideways. There's nothing to see here. Not me. I look at this and I see, potential for an explosive move, and that is exactly what we got. And I'm not trying to make myself look like some genius here. It's just like once you have the exposure over and over and over again to stuff like this playing out, it's like you can just fire at will and you can hit it. I mean, again, it's not going to work 100% of the time, but when I say fire at will and hit it, I mean like, you know, relative to the risk you're hitting this. It's like, so I'm in this, it's not even got any volume. I'm just in on this break. You can see here, I took 1,000 shares. And I said in the Discord today, because I always post everything, all the results in the Discord, and I added a little bit more context than usual on this trade, but I just said, you know, 1,000 shares on me, that's about the biggest size I would ever take in a trade, just period. I mean, that is for me, right? Because it's all relative, but I'm just telling this if if you're not familiar with me and the size that I take, or what kind of my normal kind of average P&L is or whatever. I mean, that is just ridiculous. That's borderline ridiculous size on my part. It would really never get any bigger than that. I mean, um that's 100. I mean, if my math is correct, that's $112,000 in that trade. So that's just bonkers that I'm putting that kind of money on the table there. But I have to say, part of it was because, yeah, I like the trade and it was very high confidence. For sure, it was a very high confidence trade. I was really liking how this was forming. I mean, look at that 5 minute and how that played out. Again, I'm not trying to gas myself up here, but like, man, look at like this blue line. I had this here before. 111.90, basically 112, but that was there before. I did not put that there today. Um, and you can see how perfectly that held right here, and then to see that just hold again, look at that beautiful 5 minute candle with that wick and perfect close, and then just curling up. And when I saw it right here, I was like, it is a no-brainer for the breakout move of this kind of wedge here. It's a no-brainer. So yeah, I grabbed 1,000 shares. You can see I got 500 out at break even, and I'll tell you, part of the reason I took 1,000 was again that confidence super high. But part of it too was a little bit of kind of reckless curiosity as to whether I could take that kind of size. I mean, my account's in a spot now where it's actually in a pretty good spot, and so I'm not really surprised that I can take that kind of size and that I have that kind of margin available. Um, but yeah, wow, 1,000 shares. So I was like very high stress when I was in that, and I got filled for 1,000 without any hesitation. I was like, oh crap, like, all right, like. Let's see what this can do. I had about 30 seconds, 45 seconds of like, all right, game on. Let's see what we can do. And this candle came up, came down. It just stressed me out. I was like, you know what? I'm already up 310 on the day from that Amazon trade. It's not worth it. So yes, I did size down half of the position at 1,000 at break even. I wish I had taken like 300 off or 200 off or something like that. But anyway, I took 500 off, took half the position off. Again, 500 is still plenty. My target on this was pretty much a whole dollar. I wanted to see this back up to 113.50, this kind of pre-market high, and that's where I was going to take the bulk of my profits. I mean, in hindsight, this thing went over 115, which is just insane. But I will say, I mean, the volume kind of gives it away here, but there was some news on this as it broke out, but that only just helped it just uh, you know uh, accentuate the setup that was already in play. So that's again. I talk about market ideology a lot, and that's my market ideology on this subject is that news, what news does to a stock when news comes out, and what it wants to do, what it gravitates towards, what it propels the stock to do, is that whatever the stock's current setup is, whatever the setup looks like, if it's slightly bearish, if it's slightly bullish, or if it's completely just complete and utter chop, or if it's looking very bullish, like in this case, or if it's looking very bearish, like in a different case. What that news is going to do is it's gonna act as a catalyst. It's gonna act as like a if you ever play those arcade games where you're like racing or whatever, and you can hit the nitrous or the nitro. That's what news does. Is it hits the nitro on whatever setup is already in play. So if the setup here is really bullish and news comes out that is also bullish, it's going to put a nitrous boost on that setup. And that's exactly what it did here. When that volume came in and that news came out, I don't even care what the news is because I was watching price and I was watching volume, and that's all I care about, really. The news headline doesn't really matter to me, especially if it were super negative. You'd know in a heartbeat that this thing would get slammed. But your reaction time is as good as it is in that scenario. But in this case, it just worked out pleasant. It just worked out perfectly, and I was out of this entire trade. I mean, I already had my order to sell right here at 113.34 for exactly a whole dollar. You can see So my whole plan on this was to get a whole dollar out of it, but I ended up getting more than that. By actually, I pretty much got a whole dollar because I was in 500 shares here at 34, and I ended up making about 500. So that's basically a dollar on 500 shares. So it basically kind of worked out how I wanted it to. But again, it did go considerably higher. So I got out at an average of 113, 40 or whatever, but it would continue almost $2 higher in hindsight. But again, this thing just blew right through my target, but that'll happen sometimes. And I mean, by all means, this was a great trade, but I'm not going to lie that news did kind of help me a little bit here. But let's not ignore the blatantly obvious setup that was in play. And like I said, when news comes out on it, right? It's just going to have a preferential bias to whatever setup was already playing out. So even if it's like neutral or even slightly negative news can come out, and if the setup is like this and it's already breaking out of this kind of massive wedge pattern, I mean, call me I'm gonna bet that it's gonna have a spike. Maybe it'll play back down later, but it's gonna want to do what that setup is basically telling it to do. And that's my experience. That is my experience. Unless it's like super, super negative news, it'll just slam the door on you for sure. But the setup, it's a magnet. It draws the news in. The news is not the predominant factor. It's actually the price. The price is everything, guys. It really is. But anyway, so again, two trades on the day. Amazon, Baba, $820. And it's days like this where I just think, man, all of that experience just watching price over and over and over again, day in, day out, it really, really helps on days like this because again, it's like I wasn't even gonna trade today. I was sitting at my desk prepared to just dink around with the TCP and futures, and I wasn't even planning to really go hard on equities, and yet here I am with one of my biggest days in equities in a long time, and that's how it happens sometimes. So my advice is, come to come to your desk and you know, look for opportunities to not trade, and then you're gonna find you're that's gonna allow you to see those opportunities that that are just so irresistible that you just have to stab at them. And that's really that's really what it was for me today. It's just like they were so good. I just was like, man, I gotta take it. I gotta take it. So that's exactly what I did, and it worked out amazing. So, um, yeah, I mean, just my account and everything, trading, all is in a really good spot right now. And if you can believe it, and remember, for those of you that were watching my whole futures trading journey, and pretty much how embarrassing that was for me, just kind of losing a lot and very low confidence. And now we're just, back to where we were with equities and really rocking and rolling. And so I can hope that I can keep it going. But this is what I'm meant to be doing, not really, anything else. And, but, that being said, I do want to, I do want to say that I did trade in the TCP today, and I made over $600 in the TCP today, day one. So I did do very, very well. I went short on the NASDAQ. If I can pull up a chart of the NASDAQ here, this is a 1 minute, so I'll show you exactly. I was trading the TCP today, and I did go short somewhere in here. And I'm not gonna go through like the whole thinking behind the trade, but it was very kind of brief trade, maybe 10 minutes or so, and I was able to cover right down here, pretty much at the low here, and made a really, really nice profit from here to there on a NQ contract. I was down on the day on the futures side, on the TCP side before that trade, but then I ended up taking that trade and I finished up like over $600. Again, if you guys are interested in the TCP and earn to trade, they have a promotion running right now. I believe it's like 50% off. They've got some ridiculous promotion running right now on the TCP. If you guys don't know what the TCP is, it's Trader Career Path. It allows you to scale up your account as you go once you're funded, and it is a really great deal. And that's why I spent so many months trying to my crack at it. And yes, I am once again trying again because it really is that great if you can get it. And I feel like, my equity strategy is so heavily based off of the futures that for sure I think, I think I can do it. But again, I'm doing it with fake money until I can pass the evaluation. And again, if you go for something like this, you're not risking any of your own money. I mean, that's the whole point, right? But on the equity side of things, I very much am risking my own money, but it's just that confidence level where I just come to the table and I'm like, I just know what the hell I'm doing, right? I have the confidence. I can take positions and just, not be sure that they're going to work. Of course, you can't be sure. You can never actually be sure, but you can have that confidence. And the confidence is everything. It's everything because you need to be able to see a good setup. My biggest struggle on the confidence side, always, even on equities, even when I'm feeling confident. I guarantee you tomorrow I'll wake up to trade, I might see something perfect. And my biggest obstacle is seeing that something perfect and I cannot I gosh, if I could know what it is. I don't know what it is, but something in my mind makes me afraid, scared to take the damn trade. Enter the position even when it looks perfect. That little voice in my head is talking to me like, "Man, what if it goes against you?" Da 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 da. Right? And it's just like, dang, it makes it so tough, right? So it's all about that confidence. But if you can get that on the future side of things, there's a lot of good reasons why you should be able to why that's worth going for. So equities happens to be more my thing, but that doesn't mean I'm not still pursuing that futures dream. So that's the beauty of it. You can do both at once. So I'm risking my own money where I feel good on the equity side, and I'm not risking my own money where I still need practice, and that's on the future side. And you can do both at once. And if you're interested, go on over to Earn to Trade and check them out, man. So, all right, that's all I got for you. That's the recap for today. I think it was a good one. Obviously, a great day for my account and a great day in my trading. And January, we got no red days in January, so that's not gonna last forever, but we'll see. So, so far so good, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. All right, like, subscribe, love all of you. Bye bye.